Most of my godbrothers have fallen down. They're not preaching. They're not helping others to become Krishna conscious. A very small, maybe 5%, are doing some kind of small program. And there's only a handful, that I can actually count them on the fingers of one hand, who are doing some nice preaching. And all of them are preaching in a non-traditional way. Actually, our mood is that we're willing to do almost anything so that people don't identify us with ISKCON. Change the name, change the mantra, change everything. Just so people don't think that we're Hare Krishnas. Don't identify us with ISKCON. Because when we were starting this mission, we did some market research. We actually went out with a clipboard and we asked people, well, what do you think? First we asked them about, their spiritual life. What are their religious views? Have they ever practiced yoga? Do they have any contact with the Vedic literature? Like that. And gradually we got around to asking them, well, what do you think of ISKCON? What do you think of the Hare Krishnas? And the results were 98% negative. So at that point I realized, wow, if we're going to be successful in preaching, we need a whole new image. We did this out of, we call this thing the esoteric teaching out of necessity. We advocate people chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya out of necessity. Sometimes people criticize us, oh, you're changing Prabhupada's teaching. No, we're just trying to get people to listen to us long enough to get to Prabhupada's teaching. Because if we came on with, hi, we're the Hare Krishnas, it's like, bye. I've had so many people, young, intelligent, aware, energetic, bright young people tell me that if they thought for a minute when they first contacted our teachings that we were Hare Krishnas, they would be long gone. Everybody here is shaking their head. Look at that. You see? So, unfortunately, I cannot recommend that you have anything to do with ISKCON. I mean, I really hate to say it. I don't like having to say it. But I'm not going to lie either. Sometimes we have to speak difficult truths. Maybe you don't want to hear this. Maybe you want to think, oh yeah, everything is great, it's all good, these are nice people. And maybe they are nice people, but the people above them aren't nice people. There's a glass ceiling in ISKCON. And either if you're a corporate yes man, then you can get through that glass ceiling and get some kind of position. And if you're not, if you are an independent thinker, if you are a person who insists upon being an individual, then you can't get through it, and you will not. You will be one of the serfs, the slaves, the lower class of ISKCON forever. There's no way that you can pass certain specific, clear tests and advance your position in ISKCON. That doesn't exist. What exists is a system of nepotism, and that if you are enough of a yes man, then maybe you can get some dirty jobs, and if you do those well, maybe you get a better job. And, that's the way it works. It's more like the mafia than the Hare Krishna movement that Prabhupada wanted. So what can I say, I mean, I wish I had good things to say about them, but I really don't have any good things to say about them. And other devotees who have had a lot of association with ISKCON, a lot of involvement with ISKCON, even though they may be outside of ISKCON now, they are conditioned very heavily by their experience in ISKCON and the habits that they developed and the type of relationships that they experienced in ISKCON. And they have brought a lot of those values and the type of relating to people with them. So, I mean, I know myself, after I left ISKCON for the last time, I had to go through a couple of years of intensive psychotherapy to get that out of my system before I felt like I could deal with people without this history of being in ISKCON constantly coming into and disrupting the relationships. So it was very heavily contaminating experience, and you know, I had to go through a lot to get that out of my system so that I was free of that influence. So I could never ever recommend anybody associate with those people and come in contact with those kind of dealings and those kind of ways. It's very, very destructive for your spiritual life. It will leave a very, very bad taste. So I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear. But it looks like in India we have really good prospects there. We are networking with the top PhDs and academics in South India about establishing very innovative academic programs based on Vedic knowledge. And simultaneously, we're talking with traditional healers and you know, similar people, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, about establishing a agricultural project to raise traditional medicinal herbs. There's in the north of India, there's the Ayurveda tradition, and in the south of India, there's what's called the Siddha tradition. And the Siddha tradition is more original. It's less polluted by, you know, Western ideas and stuff like that. Less influenced by business considerations. It's more Brahminical, more devotional. And we've contacted someone who wants to work with us in that tradition. So we're getting ready to go over there and get some land. And simultaneously, our friends in Ruzizi are also talking with Indian people who want to do a similar project in South India. So looks like Krishna's got a plan. Krishna always has a plan. The trick is to follow it without adding our own nonsense into it. Krishna is far more intelligent than we are. After all, he's God. So he's playing with a lot bigger deck than we are, you know. If we follow Krishna's plan, we find, in fact, we were talking about this at lunch today. Our friend Ziggy came over for lunch today. And we had a long, animated conversation about how when you're in tune with the will of God, everything goes so smoothly. And that's actually been our experience here, that everything is going really smoothly. You know? I mean, the worst thing that happened was that we had trouble with the local phone company getting the DSL line installed, and they snowed us for a couple of weeks, you know, and delayed and delayed and delayed. And we finally went down there and threatened to report them to the government. We had to get a little heavy, you know. But then they were up here in the next couple of days and made good on the deal. So, you know, somebody tried to cheat us on the repairs on our truck, and we lost a little bit of money. But that's really the worst thing that happened to us here, you know. Everything has gone really, really smoothly. And it looks like it's going to continue to do like that, even though we're headed into a really, really difficult time, and a lot of people are suffering, you know, and we feel really sorry for that. But if they had followed Srila Prabhupada's instructions beginning 30, 40 years back, maybe they wouldn't be suffering so much. Maybe, huh? We're following, and we're experiencing everything's going smooth. So, you know, maybe if they would follow, they would have a similar experience. And maybe if you would follow, you would also have a similar experience. Hey, that's what we're trying to convince everyone of. That if you follow this program, if you follow God's instructions, and Krishna's giving those instructions very clearly in Bhagavad-gītā and other Vedic scriptures. There's no guesswork involved. We're not speculating. We're not making this up either. We're simply repeating what is there in the Vedic scriptures. And we find that when we do that, everything works very nicely. See? Why? Well, try to imagine a river flowing down from the mountains towards the ocean. It's the nature of water to flow downhill. You can't stop it from flowing downhill. It's going to flow downhill no matter what happens. Thank you. Similarly, this whole universe is flowing according to the will of God, according to the laws of God. Everything in it, every little atom in the universe obeys the laws of God. Animals and plants, they also obey the laws of God. It's only people, with our wonderful will and intelligence and independence, individuality, that can